self-care, their proper nutrition, I really sort of started thinking of, what's the best way for us to go about this? And both of you talked about roles today and different roles that you have. Whether or not, it's the author role or the editor role or the wife role or the mother role or and it's kind of interesting because I was talking with Sarah about this when we were preparing for this, and I said, this really reminds me of the planning, and she goes, Stephen Covey, and I said, yes. So that's what I brought to you today is, who has not read this book?
I have not.
Okay, this you must get. Okay, he passed away last year, I think, is when he passed away. Yeah, last year, earlier this year. It's really recent. It's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay, you can see my book is yellow.
It's available in audiobook as well, for those of us who like that.
It is one where it is absolutely a must read. And it's one that you're going to come back to because there's stuff in it that is just, it's amazing. And there's stuff that may not resonate with you right now, but it may in a couple of years. So this book sits and comes out, and I brought it out because he really talks about the recognition that you have different roles. And actually, this is the example that's inside of the book. It's almost in the middle of the book. But this is the schedule that he recommends we do. And the first part is defining what your roles are. Like all the different roles that you have. So you may have, you may be a spouse, you may be a parent, you may, you may also have, that you're also for providing the elder care. You have all these roles. So the first thing you want to do is you want to define on the left-hand side, and here I did it at the beginning as well, decide exactly what you want in every key role you have, and define the goals in each of them. So that's the first thing you have to do. And even that exercise in itself is liberating because you're going to be able to prioritize and first of all, determine what those roles are, right? Because we're all over the place because we do so many different things as well. So get clarity around that first and then what your goal is in each of those roles, right? Because unless you know what your goal is in each of those roles, and you could have different roles inside your business, right? Because you're wearing multiple hats as well. So one of these roles could be chief accountant, right? Chief marketer, right? Like break your roles out within your business too. That's what's needed for you to do your business. So that's why there's a bunch of lines, because you do have multiple roles. So do that, and then what your overall goals are within each of those roles. And I've got this in Excel. If you want it, I can send it to you, no problem. Just email me. Then what you want to do is you want to say, okay, what do I need to do? What are the priorities that I need to do in each of the days related to those roles? So some days you may not have any priority related to that particular role, right? But some days you may. So if you are the chief cook in the house, that is one of your roles that you have to have every day. And that one day you may be planning to say, okay, today we're doing menu planning for the week. That's what we're going to do. And put that in as what your priority is with it. So that's how you break it up into manageable pieces. So you don't spend more than 10 minutes a day, as Vina said, in doing things like that, right? To do things with it. That's how things get done. As humans, if we can break things up in less than 15-minute increments, we tend to actually do it. So think about your priorities in that way, aligned to your roles. Because you have to do a lot of things every day that touch a lot of these different roles, right? It wouldn't be great if we could just spend one day being moms or one day being wives or one day being business people. But that's not how life works. So that's how he came up with this. And he actually, I simplified it by just having one line, but within these roles you could have, 1 or 2, 3 goals in each of them that are key for you to do. But it's going to help you prioritize it as well. So you can get to what Rose said, where, sometimes you have to put things on the back burner, like those, relatives 3 times removed that have been wanting to see you, right? So, it's important to do that. And then you've got your schedule, your appointments and commitments that are below. Now, this is great to use and share with your families as well. You may have one of these that is just for your family too, to use it, and the different roles that are inside your family. And your appointments and commitments go below. Tina talked about sharing with your family what it is that you've got going, her non-negotiable Tuesdays, right? So, those they've got to know, and that's one of the challenges I find, is that when I've been working from home, and I worked from home when I was in corporate as well, because I would be out in the field with my team, or I would be in the office periodically for meetings, or I'd have a home office. So there was very regimented times that were scheduled that my kids knew that there's no going near mom. She's working. And that was a reality discussion I had with them. That's, the time that we're going to have together is this, and they knew. I actually had a do not disturb sign on my door. And I know that sounds really barbaric, doesn't it? But it worked.
No.
Because they knew. They knew.
Sounds smart.
Right? And it's like, and they knew that mom, and you know what? And I tell them, when I have a conference call scheduled, I tell them. I don't assume that they're going to be quiet.
I might even say the morning of, and it's in the afternoon, just to
Yeah.
say, Mom's day has to go this way.
Yeah.
I want your cooperation. I'm getting your buy-in for sure.
Yeah, you have to. So, but you got to schedule it so that they understand, because they got to know when it's their me time too, right? So, when you have things like a conference call, or you can't be disturbed, or like I set up tea time with my daughter. I'm not that great at keeping to it, but I'm trying to do that. Where make tea and we're going to sit down and have tea, but it's part of the schedule that comes in. The other thing you're going to notice is the sharpening the saw area. And the sharpening the saw area is your self-care. That's your self-care. That is making sure that you've got your goals in place of what you're doing for your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being, your social, emotional. He talks about it, right? Brian Tracy does a whole bunch of work on that as well. You got to be balanced. You got to have balance in the quadrants of your life, and this is really part. And don't let that every day do a little bit of sharpening your saw. One day it might be going to a yoga class, and then the next day it might just be that 15 minutes but it's doing it and putting it in. And both of you talked about, if it's not in the schedule, it doesn't happen, and that's true, and that needs to get inside your schedule as well. So I thought I would bring this, and as I said, I can send it to you in Excel because I do have it. Really read this book, and then there's the 7 tips on completing this. So first, decide exactly what you want in every key role you have and define the goals in each one. You may have 15 different roles, but be honest with yourself and write them down. Right? And for those of you that have, and all of you do, have your own business, write down all the roles within that business. Maybe this week it's you're having to be chief marketing executive, and next week it's you're going to be having to do something as your CFO. Write down your goals and then engage your mind, visualize and commit, right? Engage your mind. Every time you write down a goal, and if one of your goals, Barbara, is to write a book, and you want to say, you know what, I want to do that because that makes me feel good as well, visualize how that feels. And then that's going to make it a lot easier to incorporate it into your weekly routine where you say, you know what, that's my treat to myself, is I'm giving myself an hour a week to work on that.
Yeah.
And visualize what that feels like. Visualization, mantras Rose talked about as well, are probably so powerful, and the reason is, and this isn't wiki stuff. You ask anybody, you talk about mentoring and looking at people that are successful, they all say the same thing. They're very clear about what it is and who it is that they wanted to become. They could taste the success. They could see it. They could feel it. They could visualize it completely. And if you can't visualize it completely, then I would push back and say it's not important enough to you.
Olympic athletes do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Visualize.
They have all of this.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is that way. And, and visualize those clients, visualize those customers, visualize, your business growing and make it, because that's what makes it kind of real. And engage your subconscious, which is really important. And my suggestion to add to Rose's is that's part of your 15 minutes in the morning. Is visualizing that, like I have a mantra that I say, like a whole 3-sentence thing that I do. And those days when I say it,
It's a spectacular day,
they're
right?
spectacular
I do
days.
it every day.
They're spectacular days. And this is stuff that